I made a lot of mistakes in my product career that were direct result of basically one sort of root cause. And I will go ahead and say that I'm not trying to be vulnerable to make you like me or to make you feel, what is the right word that people say? Oh, relatable. Like all of that stuff is nonsense. It's manipulation. All right. So I'm not doing it for that reason. I'll also say I've not made that many mistakes in my PM career. Whoever does that is manipulating you. Okay. Whether they realize it or not, they're manipulating you. Anybody who's highly successful in their product career has not made that many mistakes. It's pure logic. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to take this on some kind of faith. You should never even think, oh, Shreyas, he has so many blah, blah, he's done this, whatever. None of that matters. You don't have to take any kind of like credibility or authority from me. You can literally, logically deduce this yourself. All right. So you don't have to take anything on faith. So getting back, I made some mistakes, likely made fewer mistakes than the average product manager, but I made some mistakes, right? And as I look back at those mistakes, root cause of those mistakes was very straightforward, and it was basically my ego. And particularly, it was my ego's urge to feel smart more than the willingness and the drive to actually win. All right. So, product management, it's a challenging role. It's a lonely role. Again, I'm not going to sit here and commiserate with you like, oh, it's so hard to be a PM and all of that. This is, again, all nonsense. Every job is hard, right? Our job is hard in a different way. So we have to also understand that. Now, the point here is that product management has some unique challenges of its own. One of the challenges, and I've especially found this to be true in tier one companies that have a very high bar for hiring, companies that have a very high bar for performance. It's even more true what I'm about to say. So what happens to product managers over time as they work at these tier one companies, these hot companies, these like amazing companies, et cetera, is that you feel a lot of implicit pressure and in many cases explicit pressure to sound clever and to sound smart and to sound competent. And so what happens is the product managers who, despite that, are successful, they are very well recognized. Again, logically, it means that they have mastered the art of sounding clever. Okay? And therein lie the problems. Because once you master the art of sounding clever, what happens is that you have basically prevented further growth to your potential. You will still grow, obviously, because you're smart, you're driven, all of that. But you will not grow to what you were kind of coded to grow, like to the degree you could grow, to your potential, whatever we might call it. So my statement about this ego thing and this urge to sound smart and clever and all of that, that is essentially what I'm saying is that that creates an asymptote for you, and that need not exist, because if you get rid of that tendency, you will find that you will be way more competent as a product person, as a product leader. You will find that you'll be just even more correct in your product decisions. And you will generally, frankly, also find more joy in your work. So this is a big issue. And again, as I trace back, a bunch of mistakes of mine, this was the root cause. It's easy to say, hard to do, which, by the way, this is also nonsense. People say, oh, easier said than done. Like, what value are you adding? Everything is easier said than done. Just think about it logically. Everything in life is easier said than done. So when you comment on a tweet or a LinkedIn post saying easier said than done, you're not adding any value whatsoever. You think you are, but everything is easier said than done. Just think logically, right? But for those product managers who want to reach mastery, this is important to understand. And not mastery because you have a big title or you have a team of 70 people reporting to you or anything of that sort. Mastery just because you care enough about your craft. In this case, the craft is product management. And perhaps the last thing I'll share is that ultimately, if things are not working, and again, as PMs, many things are not working, right? Sometimes it's the team's execution that's not working well. Sometimes we're not seeing the results that we want, the outcomes that we want for our feature, for our product in the market. Sometimes it's an interpersonal issue of some sort. Whatever the case might be, all of these are problems with our thinking ability. That is it. Let's say you have some execution problem, or let's say you have some kind of like, well, we need this product to hit these goals, but it's not hitting these goals, etc., etc. Nobody in corporate environments admits that it's a problem with our ability to think correctly. We find excuses everywhere else. It's like, oh, yeah, this team, we have some tech debt, or like, oh, yeah, we don't have proper go to market support for this thing, or, oh, the competition just has better features, or I'm not getting along with this other stakeholder, risk of legal, whatever, and that's causing problems. I have heard every excuse in the book, obviously, right? People sitting across the table from me is like, oh, yeah, I have this problem. And like, my work is perfect. I'm doing a great job. But it's all these other idiots that are getting in the way. By the way, every PM does this, right? Like every PM leader does this. Yes, there are some exceptions. There's very few exceptions, right? It is important to understand, and it's going to be very difficult for most people to accept it, that all of your problems are problems with your thinking. That if you thought correctly, including the so-called like execution problems, which is like we are moving slower, cross-functional coordination isn't there, or clarity of plan isn't there, or whatever else, right? Management doesn't agree with the prioritization. All of those problems are problems with thinking first. Okay. Now, you can logically deduce this. So, again, you don't have to take it on faith. And logically deducing this requires ninth grade knowledge, ninth grade, like high school, ninth grade knowledge, freshman year. Okay. But most of us, even after having gone to fancy institutions like Stanford GSB or Berkeley Haas or Wharton or MIT or whatever the heck, we have forgotten this ninth grade logic. And in fact, I will go further and say day to day, you are not applying basic ninth grade logic and knowledge. And you're swimming in all this nonsense abstractions, which are not very helpful, which are the root cause of your thinking problems. Again, that statement I made that all your problems are problems related to your thinking, it's not a spiritual statement, it's a very pragmatic statement that applies to the business world. And you can logically deduce this.